And there are going to be people that are going to read that and think, who does she think she is?
People are going to judge you no matter what you wear, how you look, what you drive, what you don't drive. You just have to do you.
Welcome to Cabo.
Thank you. This is so beautiful here. Oh my God, we love it.
Well, why don't we first start, before we jump right in and talk about all things mortgage, why don't you share with us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this industry?
Sure. So my name is BilliJo Petroselli. I'm from Tomah, Wisconsin, and I actually got into the mortgage industry by applying for my own mortgage with another mortgage broker. And she said, you would be so good at this job. And I just, when someone says that to you, you're like, yeah, whatever. And I was in the midst of taking my law school admissions test. I had passed, I'd been accepted to law school. And I was like, well, I don't know if mortgages is really something I want to do. So then I interviewed with her boss, and he was very arrogant. And I was like, this is not somebody I can work for. So long story short, I ended up interviewing with another mortgage broker and just took off and ended up opening my own mortgage office. And 22 plus years later, here I am.
Oh my gosh. I always love hearing the stories because nobody really intends to be in this industry.
No.
Everybody has a story about how they got here.
Yeah.
And everybody's is different. So I love hearing those. So tell me, over the past, 22 plus years being in the industry, who's your favorite client to work with?
I would say probably the veterans are my favorite, just because I feel like I can give back to them for what they do for us. And they are by far the most organized. When they bring their stuff into you or upload it, or however they're bringing their paperwork in, or even filling out the loan application, they're just very thorough. And I think that is because they're trained in the military already to be very thorough, So that's probably, I love all my customers, obviously, but the VA loans and the veterans working with them is probably my favorite. How about you?
So I was talking yesterday with my friend Cheryl, and we were talking about ironing, and we both said our husbands are the best ironers because they come from the military.
Yes, see? Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not going to be getting the documents where they're taking pictures of, 10
Blacked
pages
out.
of bank statements and sending them all to you. So I love that. Tell me, what has been some of your biggest challenges in the industry?
I would say, going through the ups and the downs. I was there, through 2008 when, the market kind of crashed.
Yeah,
it was very tough. And, you don't really know what's going to happen. You don't know where your next dollar is going to come from, if people aren't doing mortgages or, whatever. But that was probably one of our biggest challenges, but we made it through, COVID was kind of wild. I wouldn't say it was so much a challenge business-wise. It was more of a challenge where some of our lenders were shutting off the government programs. I don't know if you went through that too.
No, I don't remember that so much. I just remember for myself, having 2008 trauma in my body and thinking to myself, this is going to hit the fan.
Yeah.
And being is it going to be, and I find myself in that space a lot, is this going to be another 2008? Is it going to be another 2008?
Yeah.
It ended up being very successful.
Yeah.
It really, real estate went through the roof and mortgage too. So very grateful for it, but was in so much anxiety, I think, of just 2008
For sure.
trauma.
For sure.
Yeah.
I
Do you
agree.
still have that feeling? I still have that feeling of when loans come in, because nothing is a guarantee in this business. When you work for yourself, nobody is feeding you business. And so there's these times loans come in and I'm like
you're blessed.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it gets really slow and you're some start trickling in. You're you don't know where they came from. But it's is God blessing me or why are we receiving these, But I think it's the nature of the business. It's, very up and down, but COVID was probably the two best years we ever had in my career, ever. We tried to get as many of our clients into those, 1.875%, 2%. That's free
anomaly.
money.
100%.
Yeah.
Free money. Crazy.
Yeah.
So going forward, where do you see real estate mortgage going over the next 5 years?
I feel like it's going to just keep going really well. Like I think rates are going to eventually come down. I think the tariffs are going to end up balancing our economy a little bit. And I know some people probably disagree with that, but I think once the tariffs kind of level out and everybody can agree and be on the same page, I feel like the rates are going to come back down. I don't think we're ever going to see rates as low as they were in COVID. Do you agree?
No, I 100% agree. I think that was an anomaly.
Yeah.
And so, I was trying to tell my clients, like, I know you're holding out,
Yeah.
but you can't time that market. I try to share with them that, anywhere we've put money personally, the places that we've seen the most growth has been in real estate. And
For
so sometimes
sure.
we're like holding out because we don't like the 7% rate. And it's like, yeah, but how much money did you just lose holding out for the 6% rate if you would have just came in at 7%?
And the price of the house went up.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and you lost out on like 50 grand over what?
Yeah.
So I try to tell clients, like, if you get in where you can fit in, and like it's just a really great place to put your money.
That's a great way to say that.
Yeah,
Get in where you fit in. Yeah, that's great. I have to remember that.
So tell me about a nightmare file.
A nightmare file. So like,
There's a lot of nightmare files.
I know, right? Like dumpster diving. No, I would say the worst files that I ever had in the industry was probably when I first started out, because I wanted to help everyone, right? Like if they were breathing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and had a full-time job, I wanted to help them one way or another. But, we'd get people that come in and they'd have like 3 pages of collections on their credit report.
Yeah.
Literally like 3,
you're
maybe
just
even
not
6.
ready. Yeah.
They're not ready. But in my mind, I wanted to help them get ready. So I would take them from step A to step Z. And I just don't have that in me anymore.
Yeah.
Like I've been doing this for 20 plus years, 22 plus years. I just don't have it in me anymore, So I don't really work with, I don't want to say I don't work with less than perfect credit anymore. I just don't work with that anymore. You know what I mean? If they have that many collections and they're just not ready, I kind of give them the tools and then let them, get that stuff fixed and then come back.
Yeah. I'm very specific with who I work with. And I believe that we all have a perfect client, and then everybody has the perfect mortgage broker. And it's okay if we lose business.
Absolutely.
And it's okay for us to say, I'm just not a great fit for you, or giving them an option. And so, sometimes that's hard in our business when we lose it because we don't know where the next one's coming from. But I really see it as like a blessing. I just want people to get like, can you get out of my business sooner than later? Like, we're not a good fit. Just leave me up here.
Yeah.
Be a lot better. What kind of advice would you give somebody that's like just starting out
in the mortgage industry?
Yeah.
I would say just really put your time into it. Like it's not a lot of people think that real estate and mortgage industry is a get rich quick, and it's not. I mean, it's a lot of hours. It's a lot of work. I mean, I've been in this for, like I said, over 22 plus years, and I still work a ton of hours. So if you're somebody that wants to work 5 hours a day and think you're going to make a good living, probably not a good fit for them. This is a job where you're on call a lot.
Yeah.
Morning.
It's hard, right?
It is.
Yeah. My kids had to learn that. My husband has like a W-2 job. And then, when you're in real estate and mortgage, you're like always kind of working.
For sure.
It's like there's no like separation between life and work. It's just always happening.
Which is hard, don't you agree? It's like you can't shut your brain off.
Yes. I mean, it's beautiful. I had to tell my kids, like, my kids get to travel more than most, right? Because mom can work from anywhere. So we could be out on a boat on the lake.
Yes.
I might need to take some phone calls, right? And they're like, Mom, you're always on your phone. And I'm like, yeah, but look at all the great things you get to do because of having, being able to work for yourself. But it is difficult.
I'm a firm believer, though, that we also do deserve, right, some time to completely shut our phone off, and not have that distraction and just focus on them. But it can't be all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I intend. This past year, I started intentionally leaving my voicemail as full as possible.
Yes.
There's like 139 voicemails in there, and I hope it goes to that. And it's like, you can't leave a message because I'm not going to call you back. And I do it for a couple of reasons. And this is not a business plan for everybody. This is not a business plan for everybody.
Just business plan. I can see it now in the headlines.
My business, I won't get on the call. I won't get on a phone call with barely anybody. If you're a client and you need a phone call, and I feel like you need a phone call too, I might get on the phone with you. But my ideal client is a busy investor. They don't want to get on the call. I do that so I miss out on like sales calls and spam calls, like
Tons.
And I try to keep my energy as high as I can. And taking those kind of calls is going to like drain me.
Yes.
And so my business plan is like not talking to people.
Paige.
So I'll let there's a way to do business for everybody, and if it feels really good for you.
Yeah.
What in your business like lights your soul on fire?
Honestly, I feel like every closing, getting to that closing table, seeing, my client's face, when they get the keys and, they're just, especially if it is a little bit of a harder file. Sometimes the easier files where they have 20% down and everything is just, all the boxes are checked.
Yeah.
It's super easy. They already know they're going to get the house loan. They already know everything is going to work just fine. But some of those files that are just a little bit on the edge of like borderline of being approved.
Yeah.
And they just in their heart feel like they're like, when's the shoe going to fall?
Yeah.
And I just had one like that. And she's like, the last time she went through the process, she said it was horrible, it was a nightmare. And I got her to the closing table, and it's like, people get choked up, like they literally start crying. And that's touching, right? And then when they write your Google reviews and you can see like, wow, I did that. Well, they did too. I mean, I can't take all the credit, but and Christine, my assistant too, but like we did that, as a group.
Yeah.
team.
A lot of times who you work with really matters, and
For
being
sure.
able, like some people think it's so cut and dry in mortgage, and it's like, no. There's a lot of gray, and being able to work in the gray comes with a lot of experience.
I agree.
And it takes a certain kind of creative mind. That's what I kind of feel like sometimes, like this is me, like growing up, I kind of wanted to be a lawyer because I like to argue. And then
I almost was a lawyer.
Right. And then you get to do that in your files sometimes. You're like, let me plead my case for a second, and
I
you
agree.
can let me show you how this works and why it works and why we should extend that money. And then also understanding sometimes like being able to tell borrowers, like this is the like legit risk we're trying to balance. And so being able to have a conversation with them too. I mean, it takes a lot of time in the business to earn those stripes.
I agree.
So do you have any other endeavors you want to?
In life?
Yeah. Tell me about them.
Boy, I mean, I would like to get to a point where I could like be somewhere like this 2 months out of the year, somewhere tropical, somewhere warm, especially in the winter months, but remember, I'm older too. I'll be 54 this year.
Okay.
So I'm getting older. So it's not that I want to slow down necessarily. I just want to be able to maybe work remotely a couple of months out of the year.
I want slaying loans on the beach.
Yeah.
That's like when we were planning this trip, it was like, well, I guess we could go to LA and shoot content, but that would be kind of boring. Like, I want to do more cool shit and get paid to do it. Like that, more money, less effort, and do cool shit and get paid to do it. Those are like now like my like pillars of like everything else to fall under there. I'm not there's so much out there. Part of the reason why I created Notorious was because the only model that I was seeing out there was like this very masculine way of doing business, which was like outwork everybody else. And I was like, I don't want that business plan.
No, I want an efficient plan.
I want to
work less.
Honestly, I want to work the least amount that I can.
More
So
free time. That's what we all want. I mean, that's what I think everyone strives after is free time, right? I mean, life is about having balance, but also finding free time to be able to enjoy the things you want to enjoy. Your family and your kids, all that stuff.
Yeah, no, in my 30s, I was like, I wanted to like rule the world. And then you get into your 40s, I'm 45 now. And I was like, that whole like just marry rich so I can go to Pilates and brunch every day. I wouldn't mind that.
I would not like that. Me personally, I couldn't do that. No, because I can honestly say like, I truly love my job. Like I love what I do. I love working. I just don't want to work, 80 hours a week anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
That's
there's
my thing.
Yeah, there's a certain type of person that does really well here in our capacity. For good or for bad, I would sometimes tell people it's the same thing. Like if you were going to be prone to like have like addiction, you'll do great here because it hits the like dopamine receptor of like drive and like when a file, nobody else was able to do this file. And then you're like, I'm a champion.
Yes, for sure.
I'm a champion,
yeah, you
right?
feel like Rocky.
Yeah. Like, take your victory lap. Yes.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Yeah, I would say that is very fulfilling.
Let's talk about this because in Notorious, because it is a group for women, there are certain things being a woman in business that we deal with that I don't think men deal with. So let's talk about, showing up on social. I think the first thing everybody thinks is like, oh my God, what are they going to, I don't know if men think this. I don't know if men go, what are they going to think of me? Right?
Yeah.
But as a woman, it's like getting over that fear of being seen, which is why we create, Standout right here. It's like to give, you the beautiful pictures and all that kind of stuff to like be seen in all your glory. Talk about some of those challenges that maybe you've come into being on social, building your business as a woman and like, how did you solve that?
I would say, my area where I am at, there's a lot less competition in my area. I would say like an hour from me, that's where the competition really is as far as like, there's a lot more men in the industry in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Where I am in Tomah, Wisconsin, there aren't any other mortgage companies there. And I think there have been other ones, but unfortunately they didn't make it. They failed, because like I said, it's not a get rich quick scheme. You have to work very, very hard to build your clientele and stuff. But as far as challenges, I would say the biggest challenges for me more so are probably, clients, getting clients in the door as far as like getting out there, getting the word out there, letting people know what is a mortgage broker, what is affordable mortgage financing LLC, what does that even mean? A lot of people don't even know what a mortgage broker is. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Like that's, I don't have a lot of challenges being a female in my area per se. I feel like I'm pretty domineering that way. You know what I mean? But I would say in the bigger cities, that's probably more of a challenge, right? Because there's more of you, more of us. You agree or?
I don't know. I build exclusively on social.
Okay.
And so my business plan is very different than a lot of other people's business plan and who I serve and how I show up. I know that, anytime I would go to post, there is that little like thing in the back of my head that goes, what are people going to think of me? Are they going to be like, who does she? Because there are times I'm like, I know what I just wrote. I know what I wrote. And I know it's going to impact somebody. May those words hit the intended. And there are going to be people that might even be people that I consider friends that are going to read that and think, who does she think she is? Right? And I've had to go through that through building my business, right? Like I had that thought, fuck, some people are going to think, who does she think she is? And then legit, like having people say that, right? In one way or the other.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've learned is that showing up in your bigness and in like your true authentic self and taking up room, that triggers people. And it's okay. And it's a way of, for me, being able to clear those people out so that, I don't want to say better, but a better fit of person can come in. Yeah. And so for me, a couple of years ago, we had like a mass exodus of like friendships as I started to like show up and whatever. There was a lot of other things that happened.
Could some of that be a little bit of jealousy though?
Maybe. And I'm sure I probably did some fucked up shit. Shh, don't tell everybody. But like, we all probably did some stuff, right? Where it was like, but looking back, as those relationships went, it made space for more supportive friends to come in. Mm-hmm. My income doubled year over year when that happened. Like it was wild to watch. And I remember I like had prayed for it too. I was like, because there was something that wasn't feeling good before all this like shift in people around us
Friendships.
happen. It was like not feeling good. And I remember I say this prayer when things get like this. I'm like, God, like remove what is no longer serving me. Like take it away or make it work. But pick up lane. And like, if it's not in my highest and best good, I'm okay. Like remove it. And anytime I say that prayer, it like, and it was like, oh God, oh my gosh, like it hurt, but then it was also, Paige, you asked for this.
Yeah.
Right?
And maybe that's what you needed.
Yeah.
Kind of a clean
yeah,
sweep.
Yeah. And I'm sure I did some stuff, but I wouldn't have made those choices to remove those people from my life by myself. God had to come in and like, you're not going there anymore.
No.
We are bringing new people in your life. And then it was like, okay. And then I just watched my bank account and I was like, there's the proof, right? Like,
the writing's on the wall.
Okay,
Absolutely.
right? And so,
yeah.
So it's like, there's definitely challenges being a woman and stepping out and like, you have to have that faith.
And I think people do judge us no matter what we do. And that's kind of, you know, I'm 53, I'll be 54 in October. I think I've learned over the years that people are going to judge you no matter what you wear, what you say, how you look, what you drive, what you don't drive. You just have to do you. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. You know, it's like if people don't like what I have to say, then don't listen. Keep scrolling. You know, if you don't like how I look, keep scrolling. You know, you don't like how I run my business, don't come. You know, if one person thinks you're doing something wrong, I guarantee you there's 50 people that think you're doing something right. So, you know, you kind of have to just let those negative people, negative Nancys, just fall to the side. And if there's more,
it's really crazy how loud that like one person can be. Right?
Isn't
like,
that the truth?
Why are you so loud?
Yeah, go away, Nancy. Yeah,
a lot. What I've learned being on social is a lot of times we're looking for like the proof, right? Like how many likes, how many comments, all those kinds of things.
How many views?
Yeah, and we think that like our value and what we're presenting is directly reflected on that. And it's like, you have to know that like, there are so many people just watching. Like, I remember like when it hit me, it was my mom. My mom was like not commenting on anything, not liking anything. This is my mom. And
you should be like an
all
like
the things,
heart.
Nothing. And I was like, one day she was like, hey, so I saw your post the other day. And I was like, I wouldn't have known because you're not liking anything, you're not commenting anything, you know. Oh, and I really love
private
it.
messaging you or nothing. Oh my God, Mom.
Yeah, so like deaf ears, right? And so it was that shift that I needed from always looking at like the result to being like, no, I have faith and trust that like my words, when I can get out of my own way, my words that get channeled from whatever that energy we call God is, they will reach the intended. And the one person that is like the one negative Nancy ain't the real deal. So
no, that's what my first podcast was about.
Okay.
Was getting out of your own way.
Yeah.
Because that is the problem. We are all in our own way. Like when you're going to buy a house, you know, we talked about like, you know, people spending money, you know, going through their bank statement and spending money on stuff that they don't need. Well, if you can't save for a down payment, why do you think that is? Yeah. You're in your own way.
Yeah.
So that's there's a lot of truth to that. Honestly.
Yeah. I've spent the past, I don't know how many years doing like real heavy energy work. I do the real heavy energy work so that I don't get triggered when somebody says something, when something doesn't happen, when the client leaves, all that stuff that like I used to a decade ago get spun out. I'll be sitting at my dining room table, like crying for 2 days, wondering, why is this not working for me? You know? And it was like, I had to
frustrated.
I had to do this work first. So now when it happens, it's just like, and we're still moving on.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. We're going to rise above it.
Yeah.
I think some of it comes with age too.
Yeah.
The not caring anymore factor. Like, whatever. No, I'm just going to be a duck and let roll off my, you know.
So share with me in closing, where do you see yourself in the next like 5 years? Besides on the beach slanging lines.
You know, probably doing the same thing. The guy that did my podcast was like, what if you start making money on this? I'm like, yeah, it's probably not going to happen. So I'm like, that's not even a question. And I'm not doing it to make money. But I just, you know, honestly, I'm pretty happy where I'm at right now as far as like where I'm at in life per se. Maybe just taking more time off, you know, enjoying more time with family. I have 5 grandchildren, so more time with them. Yeah, they're amazing. just having more free time.
Yeah.
I would say not working so much because I feel like I work a lot.
Yeah.
Too much, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But, what do we do?
Nature of the beast, right?
It kind of is. And I think anyone who is in the mortgage industry kind of has that natural drive or we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Right?
Our brains are always like, my brain's
Yes.
always trying to figure out the puzzle. What's the puzzle that I can figure out, right?
Yeah. What next? What next?
Yeah. It's hard to learn how to rest. And I think that's also one of the things that I've been trying to learn over the past couple of years is when and how to rest. Because I'm a runner.
Yep. And find that balance. I think that's my biggest thing I want to do in the next 5 years is finding that balance with work and life.
Yeah.
That's, I've never found that, truthfully.
Yeah. Well, I love that. And I wish and hope and pray that for you.
Thank you.
The next couple of years.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining me.
You are very welcome. Thank you for bringing us on.
Yeah.